What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented as always by Pure Options Crafted Cannabis. Welcome to 2025. We are back. We are the same as ever, but we're not going to improve. If it wasn't going to happen before now, it was not going to happen at this point. And our Thursday afternoon show, also presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Bet the games we're betting, and bet the games you want to bet. Like, this is a great time for it. College football playoffs, Premier League soccer in full swing, NFL playoffs around the corner. Great futures. We'll get into some of that in a moment. Jason, Happy New Year, brother.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
Choose. He got it.
Hey, buddy. What's up?
You doing all right?
2025, yeah, man. We're just getting back into the groove of things.
I'm excited.
Letting people know about Spreaker and different things and getting back into 2025. Making sure I can still do this.
Yeah, our live
2 weeks.
Our live situation changed a little bit. So for our live listeners, and most people listen, to the podcast or YouTube later. But if you do listen live, it's only through YouTube, or the Spotlight Radio Network app, which you can download at any time. So, but YouTube was what we've been pumping out there, and we'll post that for people. And so those are the two ways to listen to us live.
Other than that, no big changes for 25.
This is
maybe some new drops or some music or something. But
this is the best month of the year. Best month of the year. Routine is back. I mean, I felt all of Fred Human.
Fred Human's back.
I'm almost Fred Human's size at this point. I put on a good 11 pounds.
Jesus,
since our last show.
11 lbs.
11 lbs.
No treadmills.
I tried. I did. I was busy. I did do some treadmilling. It was just the food, and it was
impossible.
It was a lot. But here's the beauty of it.
11 lbs.
I still look good in a muskox flannel. That's why muskox is here for you.
You'd have to add
muskox.com.
Another 50 on top of the 11
to not
it's really tough.
Yeah,
to eat yourself out of a muskox.
Right. And so I'm looking forward to the routine of January, greatest month of the year.
Yeah.
Except
for the weather.
Yeah. And if it's not the greatest month of the year for you, Pure Options is here for you. They have great deals throughout January at every location. Go to pureoptions.com. Good time to join their Pure Perks loyalty program. 3 locations in the Lansing area. Obviously in Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Detroit. Swing on by and take advantage of those deals. And make yourself feel a little better and get through what can be a long month for people who aren't me, because I love this shit.
So let me ask, I know that you guys hate Christmas. Do you guys celebrate New Year's? And by you and Elizabeth? I mean, or do you guys frown on that? And
No, I don't hate Christmas. I like Christmas. You
guys don't get each other gifts.
It's just the pressure of the whole month. It's a lot going on, but I enjoy all of it. Individually, it's just the work doesn't stop, so you're not off, so it's not.
Sports writer's job is never off.
Yeah, I don't want to complain.
Always
I like it all. I just love January. I love routine. I like my life.
Okay,
and
I was just trying to find out what you guys did for New Year's. I don't know.
We went up north to Leland and hung out with a family friend. And
by the way, I know many of you didn't get a Graham Couch, Elizabeth Couch Christmas card, but I did appreciate your guys' Christmas card, as it did show up on a day it was like snowing and shitty weather, and it was just like. It's Graham and Elizabeth snorkeling in Hawaii. Was that like a month ago or something like that? Yeah, it was a great Christmas card. Thank you very much for letting me into your guys' life and accepting your Christmas card, because I know that you guys despise it.
You're welcome.
But thank you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people felt the same way as I did when they opened it.
Yeah, we just want people to hate us. That's really what it's coming down to.
It's a good bit. It's a good bit.
Yeah. we appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Well, we are going to get into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions in a little bit. And a reminder, like I talk about gaining 10 pounds and there's New Year's resolutions. One of your New Year's resolutions should not be to give up Groovy Donuts. Like let's make that real clear. Like, as somebody who does some calorie counting, donuts, fewer calories than bagels, right? Three
Bibles.
donuts is one Caesar salad. Like, Caesar salad should not be a thing, but you can have 3 groovy donuts. Don't make giving up donuts part of your new year. It's not going to last, that sort of resolution anyway, and you're just withholding joy and happiness from yourself, and that's not what this is supposed to be about. So groovydonuts.com, place an order, swing on by, find your donut, and give yourself a little happiness this new year. You can make your decisions that are smart elsewhere. Having a groovy donut is smart. You want that to be part of your routine, be it as you're watching playoffs, just on a Saturday morning, whatever it might be. They are open this Friday through Sunday. 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing, and also in Williamston. And that's
I'm going to need some groovy donuts Sunday morning.
Yeah, just to start.
Yeah.
Probably some pure options, too.
I mean, it's going to be a long football Sunday, especially with the Lions, Vikings. They're playing at like 8:20 at night, so I'm going to have a full day of nutrients. So groovy donuts is going to be a necessity.
I am just wondering what sort of shape I'm going to be in. Saturday night, so Friday night, I'm going to
you're going to be fat, apparently, because you're gaining 11 pounds a day.
Correct. Friday night, I'm going down to the men's basketball game, Michigan State men's basketball game at Ohio State, which is a big game. We have a lot of Groovy Donut Twitter questions about that. We're going to get into those about MSU hoops. Saturday, I'm going to Wrigley Field for the MSU hockey game. And rather than sit in the press box like a hoity-toity sports writer, I'm going to do like a column on the experience. Are these games worth it? Are they fun? But it's supposed to be like 9 degrees face-off. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the wind chill, probably under 0. I'm already sort of regretting.
You should, because we did go to the Bears-Lions game, and that is, I think it was 10 degrees.
Okay.
And we had the ability, because of our seats, to grab some heat here and there. But I have to say, if it gets any colder than that, I'm out. Like, I don't love football that much. I'm willing to watch it on TV. I guess I'm not a diehard crazed fan where I'm willing to sit out in the snow. But shout out to Bears fans that were actually there to support like a 4-win team, because I don't know if I could have done it. And I thank God for Ford Field and a roof. So I don't know how you're going to do it at Wrigley. I definitely would layer up. Thank God Treese went to Illinois before I did, so she went shopping for like warmer shit, because I'm an idiot. And I was like, I'll wear a couple layers, I'll be fine. But I had like underwear, warm underwear.
Thermal
I had
socks,
like hands,
yeah. The whole deal.
New boots and everything. It was a must, and thankfully she did that. It saved my ass.
I think I'll start the game go up to the press box. I'll come down for the first 2 periods and then go up for the third
and bless the people with your presence.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm going to hang out with.
I'll hang out with the common folk.
Kilbridges, Dan Kilbridge, and it's going to be fun.
I need to know when you're going to go back up.
Third period.
You're right.
Because
there's no way you're going to make it the whole game.
Yeah, third period, I'm going to go back up and make sure I'm set to post.
But Kilbridge will be there, so you're technically working, so you can't like booze or anything. You
Correct.
Fun.
Correct.
Right.
Which I don't mind. I'm trying to.
Shut up.
You
want to go to a game and have a good time. Stop being a boring ass MFer.
Different decisions in January.
Actually, I enjoy being sober and stuff.
Donuts and muskox and gambling are in. Pure options is in.
But you got to focus on the game.
The alcohol is out.
But you can't hang out with Kilbridge, though, right?
Yeah, I can for the first 2 periods. We'll hang out. The whole.
But if you're doing, then why not have a beer? If you're going to sit there and talk with your buddy, like who gives it? Like a sauced up couch would be fun to read. If you told me you were going to have a few.
Here's the problem. Yes, and I can
just don't throw in that dragon's milk ass that you drink.
The problem is I have to do the post game press conference stuff too. I can't walk.
Are you doing the press conference? Or you're going to do it? You're standing up in front of a microphone?
Well, no, but I'm asking. I can't walk in there like,
Well, there's sloshed and there's having a couple beer, like hopping a buzz and getting shit faced. Like there's 2 separate things.
Correct. Maybe there's a beer pregame or something. Who knows? Yeah.
I get it. People can have a good time without stuff. I can't, but like,
Yeah.
I feel if you're going to sit down there with a buddy like Kilbridge and shoot the shit, what's the difference of if you have a beer in your hand or not?
A beer.
You're going to go to the post-game press guy. Nightingale, I got a question. Like, what are you going to do? Let loose? And
another thing.
Hey, is Alan Haller here? Matt C's got a question.
All right, before we dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions, I think this is going to be a good show.
Drunk couch at sporting events could be great to watch you report.
Could be a bit. Yeah, I just walk in.
Well, if you guys need readership,
yeah,
I'd pay $9.99 a month for that shit.
Breaking a chair there in the post-game press conference. That's the thing I always worry about. The press conferences often have these little, not great chairs, and I'm often concerned that
where is it?
Right up with my rectum, and it was painful.
Oh no, I delete it.
This is what I see.
Oh shit!
Everybody stops and they're staring at me. I got passion in my
the seat?
pants.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Afraid to show it.
Did I delete
show
it?
Show
Oh boy.
It, show it. I'm sexy
Financially
and
recover?
I know it.
Fart Soup deleted when he came in here?
Yeah, Fart Soup.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Unbelievable.
Well, we will get to these Groovy Donut Twitter questions momentarily.
Big
but
10 plus his ass.
Sorry.
as we do before
Sorry about that.
At the beginning of every end of week show. And I know this is our first show of the week, but it's also the end of the week show. What we are betting, presented by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Again, download the app. If you want the Sportsbook experience this weekend in the college football playoffs, the NFL playoffs, NFL wildcard weekend, which you're hoping the Lions aren't a part of, Firekeepers Casino off I-94, Daisy's Tap Room and Sportsbook is a fantastic experience. Are you betting anything this weekend, Jason? Are you
I need Notre Dame. I know it's tonight. I know it was postponed. Obviously, we can talk with, I don't know, we're not going to talk to Harry this week, but Minnesota, the Lions. I've had a great run, especially with the Lions having to score on every possession. So throwing in a little single game parlay or doing something like that. So I'm definitely going to be doing that on Sunday, but definitely Notre Dame tonight, right? Notre Dame in a big way.
Yeah, it's a 4:00 game. So that's why it's.
Can I ask why 4:00? Like, if you're going to postpone it, I get it. You want to make sure all the parameters. But why not at 8 o'clock again tonight?
I think it's because they were trying to help some people who, like, you don't have a hotel for tomorrow night. They're trying to help some people get out of there who still want to go to the game who weren't going to have, like if you're New Orleans, you may have hotels booked for other things.
Easily.
It's a difficult spot.
It's not downtown Ovid where there's always a vacancy. Yeah.
Is there a hotel? Is there an Airbnb? Are you the Airbnb in downtown Ovid?
The Midnight Tavern's always open.
Oh, it's beautiful.
$49.99 a night.
I love that. I would. I know. That makes me very happy. I'm
just saying, why not have it at 8 o'clock?
So I am considering a little bit of money on the in a teaser on the Vikings. I do have some money on the Notre Dame Georgia under, but on a teaser on the Vikings, just as in other words, you still want the Lions to win, but you can tease the Vikings up to 10.
Oh God. Well, yeah.
And then put them as part of a couple, and that way
can you still look at yourself in the mirror?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm considering that just to take a little of the pressure off, just to have a little something if things go wrong.
What pressure? What pressure do you have? You don't even give a shit if the Lions win or not. If you can get Vikings plus 10, how do you tell anyone to not take that?
I care enough. But yeah,
Iguna Yaba Gita Jared Goff.
I don't care that much.
I also like
Harry.
I also like Wolves Nottingham Forest under this Monday. And I kind of like a favorites parlay, Liverpool over Manchester United at home, and Aston Villa at home against Leicester City. Maybe Man City at home against West Ham. You do the three of those, it's better than plus money. It's pretty good. Man City is hard to trust, but I would go Aston Villa against Leicester and Liverpool at home against Man City. You parlay those, it's close to even money. It's not a bad deal. That is what we are betting this weekend, presented by the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Are you ready?
I felt all of Fred Human.
Before we get going, I want to just thank Mojo Jojo. You can see the hat on my head if you're watching YouTube. This great Panay Sewell, the Bass Pro Shops hat. I just came in and the box was sitting here. I opened it up. Thankfully, it fits my big ass head. I don't know how great I look in it, but thank you, Mojo Jojo. Our listeners are awesome, sending stuff like this. So thank you.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
We have the best. We have the best listeners. It's
the best.
And I hope all of you had a great holiday and Happy New Year and didn't gain 11 full pounds.
All right, Eric Schultz up first. What's the worst air travel experience you've had? My wife and I sat on a plane for 8 hours for what was supposed to be a 2.5-hour flight, only to end up at a different airport than what was planned. Not ideal, especially when you've got twin 18-month-olds. Oh, my God.
I don't think I've ever had anything worse than that.
Ooh.
So 8 hours for 2.5. So it's most basically.
You've never had anything like diverted because someone had diarrhea on a plane?
I've had some. Well, there's been some farting. We've talked about this,
but not bad enough to turn around.
No, no, I don't believe it. They should serve fiber in airports. I don't believe in it because it's just like
no coffee.
Coffee's fine as long as
coffee makes everyone shit, right?
But not. It depends what you eat and don't eat if you're gonna have coffee. It's an either or proposition. No, I guess I've had a couple bad travel ones. I can't think of anything that would be like just as patience testing as what Eric, because I don't know the experience.
What is your patience threshold, though? Like if you were up in the air, like I've read the stories where people are up in the air, like going overseas in 4.5 hours, and they got to turn around 4.5.
That would be awful.
Awful. But would you lose your shit? Like I would lose my shit.
No, because I know those people's jobs are.
No, not on the people, but I would be searching for the culprit of the reason why we're going back. I would not want to get arrested on the plane. I'm not that guy, but I'm definitely going to make it known I'm unhappy, I guess.
Two things. One, if I were on this flight, I would try to be of help. Like if they're not your own kids and you don't have the ultimate responsibility for them, like taking one of the 18-month-olds off their hands would be
as a stranger.
Well, I mean,
what is with you?
I did this once.
You grabbed an 18-year-old, an 18-month-old.
I didn't. It didn't happen like that. But I was in a seat flying to I think it was flying to Virginia for a game, and
so you're by yourself.
Well, my sports editor was in the aisle seat across from me, but I was in my aisle, 3-person aisle. There was a mother who had a 5-year-old she was trying to read to, and then like a 18-month-ish old, less than that, who was just crawling
checking IDs,
crawling all over them. Well, not old enough that they had to have their own seat, right? At 2 years old, you got to have your own seat, and that's one of the reasons you want to take people too. When at 18 months old, that's a free flight. Like, it gets expensive in a year. Anyway, so I could tell that this, mom was struggling to read with the 18-month-old crawling all over. So I just said, hey, and we had been chatting earlier. I said, do you want me to take him? And so I just held him
in your voice,
and you want me to take him?
You mind if I take him real quick?
Some donuts. And
is that an 18-month-old there?
He just fell asleep on my chest, and then I fell asleep, and my waitress, where did that come from? I'm a weird dude.
Wait a minute.
No, and my sports editor woke up across the aisle from me and looked over, and I'm asleep with some stranger's child asleep on my chest, and he didn't know where it came from.
No way.
Yeah.
And this lady let you just sleep with a kid on your chest?
Well, she was next to me. It wasn't like I was going anywhere. It was
You're a stranger. You've never met this person.
Well, we had talked a little bit. I mean, we had a good conversation for like half an hour beforehand. I clearly come off well.
You know how when I tell a story, you're like, where was this story in all the time I've known you? Like, I feel like that story, you were breastfeeding a young child on an airplane. First of all, how do you fall asleep on an airplane by yourself? Now you're grabbing someone else's child and crushing Z's. It sounds like a story that you read on Twitter and you go, man, I don't think that happened.
No, it happened.
I believe you. I don't know why you would lie about something like that. I'm saying it seems like one of those stories.
I just don't think my stories are very interesting, so I don't.
What are you talking about? That out of all of the stories you've told, you went ballsy on an oatmeal story, but the kid falling asleep in your lap that wasn't yours.
Fair enough.
You're coaching 6-year-old fucking soccer teams.
Fair enough. That is a story we're telling, presented by
Damn
our friends
right it was.
at Midtown Brewing
Finally.
Company in downtown Lansing. Back open after the new year. Great place to, I love the American Stout. Love their menu. Great cozy vibe there. Good place for a date night. Good place for a drink after work, for a lunch meal, just about any occasion, and a good place to watch games. Really underrated for that. Love the vibe. Love the character there. And it's just off Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing, Midtown Brewing Company. I'd say worst flight experience was I took a flight, that Lansing to D.C. direct flight, and the weather was so bad, the guy took 3 passes. The pilot took 3 passes to try and fly into Reagan Airport, and couldn't do it until we landed in Baltimore. But those 3 passes
couldn't do it. Like how? Like meaning? So like you go make the approach is going sideways?
I don't know. He couldn't land. Yeah, the weather was too bad. It's a
how did
airport.
it feel when you were sitting there?
I wanted to throw up for the first time in my life on a plane. I wanted to throw up every time, and
See, those stories get me.
Yeah, that was the roughest, just in terms of experience.
All right, Dominic next. How much money would it take for Jason to let Charbonneau watch a Lions playoff game at the Midnight Tavern? Holy shit, he's like Eeyore snorting value. Actually, all of your sports writers are the biggest sky is falling fucks when you're not writing about the team.
I've been off Twitter. I don't know what happened, so I don't know. Has it been bad?
Oh, really? I heard about you. Sharp, I don't. What is wrong with you guys? Like, are you guys like really salty and you're just trying to get angry about something so you can go to blue sky? I just don't know what it is. I don't even know what Charbonneau really said.
I don't know what he said either.
I know he said something about injuries. He likes them. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
You still follow me on Twitter? I just didn't know that was a thing. I didn't even. You knew what I was doing. Okay. Dominic, will Nick Sirianni play Saquon Sunday so I can cash my record break bet? Or will he continue to just have a stupid-looking face?
Well, I mean, what is that now? Do we know is Saquon playing?
He's not playing.
He's not playing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so that's out.
He's got a stupid-looking face.
That's the one downside.
It's a great bet by Dominic, though.
It's a great bet.
On December 1st to make that bet, to break the record.
And it's too bad. But I mean,
yeah, but you're trying to win a Super Bowl.
Correct. You can't do it. You can't play him. You can't play him.
Against the Giants, though. I mean, is there a bigger, juicier spot for a guy to break it, though?
And he's over at least he's already over 2,000 yards, so he joins that club.
Yeah. I got to say, I would let the player decide. Because that was the big thing with the 49er game and the Lions. And should Dan Campbell let these guys play? By the way, if you saw the backup guys and some practice squad guys, especially on the defense, you were like, we needed everybody to play. But I think I would leave it up to Saquon, right? Would you do that, or should you not do that as a coach?
Yeah, I would ask him. I would.
It's against his former team that gave up on him. I mean, you could really stick it to him.
Yep.
But next one from Dominic. How many chicks did Tony Dombrowski take home from the bar on New Year's Eve? Do you think he sneaks them out past his parents' bedroom and hands them a can of roast umber and mutters seductively, Tony D versus every hot chick, one price?
This seems really mean towards Tony D.
What are you talking about?
Peacock?
Listen, there's nothing but respect for Tony D and his passion for sports.
Okay.
Right? No?
This doesn't seem like respect.
Well, he's taking chicks home. How many guys do you make fun of that you say, oh, you're bringing chicks home? 0 points. Start. You're trying to start something that's not there. We like Tony Dombrowski. We love his passion. Dominic, one more because Jason Couch sneakily quote tweeting Connor Stallions during the wee hours of the morning over a bowl of split pea and ham soup. Cool if Matt C and I stage a coup and install David fucking Andrews as your new co-host. There has to be fucking consequences here, bro. What? Connor Stallions?
Yeah, so
you're off Twitter, but you quote tweeted.
I had some heartburn going last night, and so I just went downstairs.
Oh, this was last night.
Yeah,
I have not seen this.
And Connor Stallions had a whole point about strength of schedule being sort of a fallacy, and he made some good points. And so and people had pointed out to me before. I hadn't read the full tweet. I thought it was decent, but I had my points I wanted to make, and I did quote tweet him. And Dominic was not happy, and instantly, because Dominic, of course, works overnight, and so he instantly was like, "What the hell is this?" Yeah, it was great.
What out of all the things? But then you just 5 minutes ago, I'm off Twitter. I don't know what happened with Charbonneau.
Well, I'm not on the phone. Yeah, I'm not on.
But your quote tweet. But you say that you say that you're off Twitter.
I had heartburn.
And the next, what does that have to do with quote tweeting Connor?
I couldn't sleep.
Out of all
I went downstairs.
People? Yeah, unbelievable. John Calmer. When it comes to coaching malfeasance, how do you say that word? Malfeasance. Where does the 2023 handling of Sam Levitt, third series of each half for the Nebraska game, no prolonged looks, rank among recent memory? Mark D'Antonio subbing out Connor Cook for Maxwell in the last possession of the 2013 Notre Dame game ranks up there.
So in hindsight, the Sam Levitt thing is awful, right? It's just a lot of things went wrong that are sort of understandable. Not all of them understandable. Nothing compares, I don't think, to the Connor Cook Maxwell situation at the end of that Notre Dame game. That was dreadful. And I don't know whether it cost them that game. The pass interference calls that were ridiculous cost them that game more, because I don't know that Cook wasn't playing that well either. I don't know that Connor Cook would have gotten it done either, but it was a horrible coaching decision. The Sam Levitt situation, they screwed up, no question. They screwed up, and the problem with what Harlan Barnett said last year is he really just didn't have a clear plan going in and understanding that the 4-game limit on having a redshirt season was approaching, and the way he talked about that. And it just seemed to catch him off by surprise. And at that point, it was clear Noah Kim wasn't the guy. It was clear that Caton Hauser had serious limitations. And so Sam Levitt is the guy who right away has like a John Elway spark to him when you watch him, run and throw. And it should have been somebody they just said, let's see how this goes earlier. Now, you run into the problem. You're just having this nightmare of a season. The coach is left. If you're that kid, I don't know if I want to stick around. And then the worst case scenario, you hire a coach who was coaching at a school like 100 miles from where he grew up, but didn't recruit him, and he doesn't like. And so it was just a bad situation overall. And in the long haul, you can't make a coaching decision over one guy. It just kind of stinks. It's like
Smith had his guy, Giles.
Yes. It's like that guy was in your program, and that's tough to deal with, and he's going to be a pro. He's good. But last year, I wouldn't put it in the same level as that the end of Notre Dame game. I think earlier, though, and I think there are lessons in this, what I could see and what I think a lot of people could see early on was that kid had a little something to them. And you know who didn't have something to them? The team. So when you don't have something when it becomes clear that Noah Kim's not the answer, you got to be quicker to move on. Now, what sucked for MSU, too, is Sam Levitt was not a mid-year enrollee. So he came in June or July or whatever and really started practice in August. If Sam Levitt comes in January like most quarterbacks do these days who are recruits, maybe by the summer he just wins the job. That was the other thing. So there were a lot of circumstances that were just unfortunate for Michigan State with that.
Chris, next, besides the national media that is pushing a narrative for the Big Ten and SEC, why do average fans want to get rid of buys going to conference champs? I don't want to hear it from the "it will make for more competitive game" squad after Ohio State lit up Oregon while Arizona State went into OT with Texas. It's all a crapshoot.
What happened, though, to Oregon sucks. And the fact that there's not it would be better if you at least had the home game in the quarterfinals. If you could get there. So if Oregon hosted Ohio State and had that advantage, that would have been a little
better. Got your ass kicked, though.
No doubt.
Or if you're Oregon, you can't. I don't care where you're playing that game.
100%. You're not going to win a national title if you're going to get lit up by anybody like that. I do think the buys are probably unnecessary, but what I would do is I would make it so you were at least top 8. And what that would mean is you got a home game. So even if you had to, like Notre Dame or whatever, if you win a conference championship, you're top 8. You're either getting a bye or you're hosting a game, and that would be my way of doing it. You have to have some value in a conference championship, otherwise.
But there's no need for the Mountain West champions to have a bye.
Well, they weren't automatic. They were a higher ranked team than Clemson, which won the ACC, right? So that gave them the bye.
Spartan 18770. By the way, can we have Ryan Day? I understand everybody wants to give him a lifetime contract now, but can we at least have him explain what happened in that Michigan game? Like, what are these two, the past 2 games that we watched Ohio State play? What happened against Michigan then? That's all I want to know.
And I think for him, frankly, it would be cathartic to especially if you can go on and win a national title, it would help.
Well, yeah.
But after that, like in off season, you sit down with somebody at your at the Columbus Dispatch or the Athletic, somebody who covers you, and you do a real behind-the-scenes piece on, like, you and Chip Kelly sitting there and saying, this is how we screwed it up.
Or Will Howard. I mean, the players. Like, what happened with the guy? Like, you guys look like a completely different team, and if the fact that you couldn't get up at home against Michigan, your rival who was hurting, I mean,
you almost need to talk about it.
I can't stop thinking about that fucking Michigan game when I'm watching Ohio State light up Oregon,
It's a thing.
Chris. Spartan 18770. After watching the college football playoff, should the field be reduced to 6 or 8 teams? And from C-Dubs, is a 12-team playoff actually worth it if the 9 through 12 seeds just get thumped on the road? And from Detroit Spartan, college football was just fine as a 4-team playoff with the conference championships acting as playoff games.
I'm going to start with Detroit Spartan. It was not fine as a 4-team playoff. It created an angst early on. First of all, you used to have 5 major power leagues, and that was not even counting the Boise States of the world. So right away it was, you've got 5 children and you're only feeding 4, right? It created angst. And it started with, in the national media, as shitty as they are, was unable to handle it. So ESPN from like week 1 of 2014 was like, who's out of the playoff after the first loss? And everybody's like, oh. And it became this, it ruined things. It ruined the good time. It became, and the other bowl games people are already opting out of. The 14 playoffs sucked. And here's why 12 teams is good. Because it's not about winning the playoff. It's part of it. It's about getting in. It's not about creating the best, most competitive 8-team playoff. It's sort of like the NCAA tournament in basketball. There are different championship seasons for different levels of teams. Some teams put up a banner for a Sweet 16, and they come back to campus and there's a parade, right? Some teams just getting in is a huge deal. And that will be the case with the playoff in college football. And getting to the 12 will measure coaches and measure programs, and it'll feel good to be part of it. Indiana, over time, the fact that they were in the playoff will matter, and that keeps more fan bases involved and all that. And in a day and age where there are fewer, or it's harder and harder for the little guy to have a chance, and it's, and obviously I understand that in the power conferences there's more parity because of the transfer portal, but you don't want fewer fan bases feeling invested, fewer fan bases having the dream, because that's what risks hurting the sport.
But is there really a little guy anymore when you can just spend whatever you'd like? I mean, look at Arizona State. I mean, they had vacated wins and losses, right? And now all of a sudden you're back in the mix. I mean, if you spend money, I think there's no more real little guy per se.
Right, but they're not a little guy. I'm talking about the other half of the fan bases or Division I who aren't in the Power 4 conferences. Like, you don't want those people to all of a sudden feel like they don't have the dream. Boise State this year lived the dream, right? You want that to exist.
Is that a dream?
Yeah. You want that to
because you know that you're not going to win the national championship.
But you don't it, but you talk yourself out of it. And so that
you want the dream of being able to talk yourself into lying to yourself.
Who cares? You want to be part of it. You want to get to the tournament. You want you want to be part of the event. You want to be part of the dance, and that's
As a Lions fan that lied to themselves for years and years, it's not fun. Especially when the reality hits of you're not even close.
But the Lions fans
playing
with
a team like Ohio State.
But if you're Boise State and you're going like 11-1 or 12-0, then if you're
and
having
you still
that
don't have
year,
a shot.
Yeah, but
you win 11 games and then you go, we're not anywhere near Ohio State's caliber or Texas's caliber.
And think about this: if Ohio, or if they did there are things they need to fix, and if they fix the seeding, so like a conference champ just had a bye, but not a bye, but a home game. Boise State would not have had a bye, but they would have got to play a game on their blue turf at home. Like, how cool would have that been? A playoff, like a big team coming in. Yeah, well, that's what the whole point
wants
is.
to go to Boise.
Well, but that's the whole point of this. It to me, it's absolutely.
How many
12
Boises
teams.
are out there?
A lot. Every year there's somebody. Every year there's an equivalent. Just about. You want that little guy. You want the dream to live, and so you want the 12-team playoffs, even if there aren't always great games. And that's 100% okay. You do need to get rid of the conference championship games, I think. You might need to pull things back. The season needs to end a little differently. But, I do think you need to get rid of the conference championship games.
John, as of today, would Penn State with 2 playoff wins or Oregon with their Big Ten title be considered to have the better season? If it's Oregon, how many playoff wins are needed to exceed the conference title? Happy New Year to you and your families. Thanks, John.
Appreciate you, John. Right now, I would rather have.
Why wouldn't you want the
playoff
wins?
So if Penn State loses in the semis, did they have the better year than Oregon that won the Big Ten title?
Oh, yeah.
In the first year ever in the Big Ten?
I don't know.
So. I don't think it's close.
I think take your Big Ten title. That's fine. I want to be in the mix. It's about the college football playoff.
Penn State gets to the championship game. I think I'm on the Penn State side. I think if they lose the next round, I'd rather beat Oregon in their first year in a new league, going into that league and winning the league.
Because Penn State did what they were supposed to do.
Yes.
Right? Franklin needs to do something he's not supposed to.
Correct.
Spartan 18770, with the national trend in football attendance declining, should Spartan Stadium reduce its seating capacity and make the seats wider for all of us fat asses? Especially the people that gained 11 lbs.
Yeah.
Over the holiday. Oh, wait, by the way.
I mean, Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
Oh, I'm glad you found
Better late than never.
Yeah. I remember that moment. Oh, my God.
Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
That's my favorite part of it is you can hear the chair popping through the...
Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
The worst part, so this is back when we were doing these remotely, too. This is like peak pandemic, and I was at home and broke my chair.
Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I
listen to that. It has to go... Through your ass.
I've been
the
fat
sound
most
has to
of
go
my
through
life.
your...
I'm a fat ass. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I know. It's.
Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy. And I just
Is that the day you realize you need to constantly be on a treadmill?
Actually, I was in better shape then than I am now by quite a bit.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah. Should Spartan Stadium reduce its seating? I don't think it would be the worst thing to, like, this is what happened with the Lions. Like, they had 80,000 seats at the Silverdome, which was a cool I love the Silverdome, nostalgic for it. But they also didn't sell out a lot of games, so they had blackouts back then, if you remember. Like, sometimes the game wasn't even on. And they went to created more demand, more comfortable place. I don't think Spartan Stadium would be worse at 65,000 instead of 75,000 if it created a better experience for the fans who were there. You don't want to cut it down so much that it costs you a ton in revenue.
Put a Pure Options lounge up there.
Well, that would be...
Take some seats out.
Yeah.
Flatten it.
The Pure Options lounge right next to the Groovy Donuts.
Matt C can go up there at halftime if the team's not playing well. Smoke a joint. Relax.
It'd be amazing.
Next one from Spartan. Jason, where will you be mentally if the Lions lose Sunday night? Mentally. There'll be a show the next day.
Okay, that was my question. I was waiting to hear what your answer was. Yeah.
Listen, it was the NFC Championship game last year. I'm sorry. You know what? And it didn't help that Couch texted me, so you down for a show tomorrow? You know, it was like the whole thing. It was all wrapped up into one. I'm not that guy. It was just like, we should have went to the Super Bowl. We blew a lead. Anyway, yeah, I will be distraught because we should beat the Vikings at home. I'm sick of this Sam Darnold talk. I'm so sick of Jared Goff not getting any kind of MVP respect whatsoever. Like, I understand if he's not the favorite, but he has to be in the conversation somewhat.
I don't think
he's not even in the conversation. No. The guy has been putting up unbelievable numbers. He's got one interception the past. So what? All these guys have fucking great teams around him. What are you talking about? Zay Flowers, I mean, he made the Pro Bowl. I mean, we talk about these guys like they have nobody. I mean, Josh Allen still has a great running game with Cook. and what's the number 13, their wide receiver, and a tight end. We act like these guys have nothing. It's just Josh Allen playing by his fucking self. We can't give Jared Goff any credit whatsoever for what he's doing. You need good players. You need good players to win in the NFL and not get hurt. And anyway. It's bullshit
for Jason and everybody else. Like the Sunday night going in, this is a pure options night. Like this is not a night. This is not a night you want to go.
And groovy
go
donuts.
Yeah, of course, groovy donuts, box of groovy donuts, and pure options. Be ready for absolutely anything.
But really, you don't see any disrespect there. The guy had one bad game, and guess what? 5 interceptions. Everybody fucking wants to bring up every game.
Here's what it is.
And we won that game.
It's usually a season behind. Like I think
if he beats the Vikings this Sunday, though, they won 3 games with a mash unit on the defensive side.
No, if he has a big Sunday, he has a big game this Sunday. They win the game, and the defense is still just.
What's a big game for him? 300. He has 303 touchdowns, and people don't even blink a fucking eye. What would he have to do against the Vikings?
No,
throw for 500.
So say he throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. It would be interesting to see if he got some votes. Yeah.
And then Josh Allen, what did he do against the Patriots? Oh, gritty win against the Patriots. The Patriots are ass. Spartan. I don't know. Dan Campbell's tears. Can the Lions still go to the Super Bowl if they lose on Sunday? They have 3 road games to win.
I mean, they're undefeated.
Are we going to doubt this team now?
They're undefeated on the road this year, so I wouldn't say no. The thing that sucks for them is they had one of the earliest buys in football, so they haven't had a bye since week 5.
You know what sucks for them is the Vikings had an easy-ass schedule. I just don't buy into the Sam Darnold thing either.
Well, then beat them. Beat them at home.
I know. I understand that. You have to win this Sunday, but I mean, like, I don't know, a 2-loss team where we're getting disrespected? What is happening?
I think they can. It's hard to picture, but I think they can.
Why? They have 2 losses. You just said it. They're undefeated on the road. You cannot see this team.
I've watched 40 years of Lions football. It's always hard
in
for me
my
to picture.
49 years of watching football.
Yeah.
Who cares? What are you talking about? Dan Cable steers with the Final 4 almost set for college football playoff. Who's winning?
And right now, you'd have to say Ohio State.
If you play that way,
yeah.
The team you thought you spend $20 million, whatever it is, and you play that way, you're going to win. I don't know. Next one, Dan Campbell steers. What's worse, an old friend staying with you a couple days or relatives for a week? Is that backwards? Like, what? Do you hate this friend of yours?
Yeah.
Why are you friends with someone you despise more than relatives?
A couple days is much better, because the time for anything. If you went the reverse, relatives for a couple days, friend for a week, then it's a question.
It is? I'd still have my friend for a week.
Yeah.
We would have he's my friend for a reason.
You choose your friends.
Well,
or your family.
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Your family's just there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason.
Are we talking about in-laws?
Yeah. I mean, so January is so great because it's.
Dan Campbell's tears. We need to know. You hate this friend? Are you trying to tell your friend without telling your friend? Do they listen to the podcast? Questions. C-Dubs, what do the Lions need to do to win Sunday besides score more points than the Vikings? Well, that was my answer. So they need to score more points.
What
they need to look. They don't. As long as they don't look inept on defense. Yeah. That's all I ask. I'm just saying. I know that there's injuries. I understand that, but these guys are still NFL caliber players, and they were not 15 yards near the ball. It just seemed like there was mass chaos in that 49er game at times.
I would say this: if they get 3 stops in the whole game that result in no possession drives by the Vikings, right? It's either a turnover or just a stop and a punt. They force three drives to the Vikings where the Vikings get absolutely nothing out of it. They win the game. They just need 3.
Could it go either way?
Could go either way.
Maybe what's missing from this basketball team, and what would make them a championship favorite?
Talking about MSU, obviously. There.
Who is the favorite right now? Is it Auburn still?
Auburn is and Ken Palm is number 1. Has been is I think they're still number 1 in Ken Palm. But yes, Auburn to me has been the best team to this point. I don't know if any, do you trust them? But to this point, they've been the most impressive team that I have seen, at least. To the question of what's missing from the MSU basketball team and what would make them a championship favorite, what I don't think they have and they don't have is just that guy who is offensively going to – and some of this depends on Jace Richardson and what he still can become as a freshman during his freshman season, because he is that guy that, can get his – and make difficult shots, and you always think they're going in, and just has that next level to him. But they don't have the Tyson Walker type, right? They don't have that guy who is going to create and make difficult shots late in games, and you sort of believe he's going to do it, and he can put up 30 when they need to against a team that's got, maybe more than they do. So there's that part of it. And it's like this week against Ohio State, or this Friday night against Ohio State, they're playing what should be a close game. Ken Palm has Ohio State winning by 3. Like Ohio State's efficiency numbers are pretty good. They have some weaknesses, rebounding. They have some weaknesses. They foul a lot. They don't shoot free throws all that well themselves. There's some advantages Michigan State will have. First true road game that's like a difficult environment too, because they took Minnesota out of things so quickly. So this is going to be a close game, I think. And if it's close at the end, and I think there'll be decent pace to it, but if Michigan State's got to do some stuff in the half court late, that's still the question with this team. And if that evolves, if they have answers there, then, championship favorite is probably too much. But do they become one of the 2-3 teams you start to say these are one of the 2-3 that win the Big Ten? Probably, because that's and I'm very curious as they start playing more of those games, who Izzo chooses to have on the court in those moments. I think we start to find out Friday night.
Mike Scott next. Will MSU's lack of athleticism, outside of Cohen Carr, of course, limit the team's ceiling at all? The game against Memphis still lingers in my memory. At times, they seemed athletically overmatched in that one. And from Alex Mayer, what's the one thing you think will hold the basketball team back in Big Ten play?
Yeah, athletically, I don't think it's an issue. I mean, they have what Cohen Carr gives them, and he's not.
Can I say though, I agree with Mike that Memphis game does stick with me just a little bit before I want to buy in a little bit.
I think that's fair. And like Cohen Carr is not Brandon Dawson; they're not the same player, and they've had different guys. But what Dawson was is what Carr gives them a little bit now. Opponents used to walk in, and I still remember them playing Michigan in a championship game, and one of the coaches told Sean Windsor, one of the Michigan coaches, what we don't have is that guy, pointing to Dawson. Like that difference and Cohen Carr has figured out how to use his gifts to be a difference maker athletically. And when he's in the game, he changes everybody else. They got enough athletes. They got enough length. They got enough of that. I think they'll be okay athletically. They're not too small on the wing. They're not too small. Now, they are playing 3 guards a lot, but they're good guards, and Akins has played the wing when he does that. He's done that before. I don't think that's going to be the issue. If there's one thing that holds them back, again, it's do they have the score they need in the big moments? Where do they go in those? Because what they have in depth is not like normal depth. It's better than normal depth. Normal depth is like, hey, they play 10 guys. Yeah, but there's a drop-off, and you see it. You can argue that the guys that come in, at least 9 deep, are sometimes better than the starters. And all of them bring something. And that's what's interesting. They bring something where you go, this now creates, Cohen Carr brings something. Jace Richardson brings something. All these guys have something to them. Xavier Booker on some days brings something. So I think the one thing is just, can they get buckets in the half court?
Alex Mayer, if you were an odds maker, what would you put Justin Jefferson's receiving yards over under at for Sunday? 149.5.
I would take that under.
All right. Yeah, you should. It'll be minus 190.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying, if you're something I would be scared of, right? I mean, Jefferson could still put up a figure and we could still win.
He is scary.
Yeah.
And the thing that's scary about him is they're good enough, with their other receivers, including Jalen Naylor, by the way, who's played well.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, he's going to have to suck on Sunday. Feel bad for him.
They're good enough, the other receivers, that if you really work to take Jefferson away, and Green Bay tried that for a while last week, the other guys can hurt you. I mean, they got
Hawkinson.
Yeah, a scary team. Yeah.
Ethan Charbella, a scary team with 2 losses. How close would Jaden Akins be to making your top 50 Spartans list? You recently dropped Bryn Forbes and Travis Trice out, but it feels like Akins is close-ish to a Keith Appling, Shannon Brown, who are on there in the 40s.
I mean, this year is telling, because if Jaden Akins is the leading scorer on a team that, wins a Big Ten title, say, or makes a run in the postseason,
and that makes it easy on you.
Yeah, the winning component of that makes it easy. Because there are a lot of guys, right? I mean, is he ahead of Ken Redfield, who's 50? I would say yes. Ken Redfield is a good player, but
I remember Ken Redfield. But tell people who Ken Redfield is.
Well, he was kind of the defensive stopper, 6'7", 6'8" wing on the Big Ten championship team in 1990 with Steve Smith, and you realized how much they missed him a year later. And there are other guys, Bill Kilgore, Pete Gent, Al Ferrari. He's gonna. The question is, like Alan Anderson, who I probably have too low. That's the one Rexroad always tells me I have too low at 46. Is that's the beginning of okay, is he better than Anderson? Maybe not. And then at some point, I probably just need to move Alan Anderson. I probably fucked that one up, but I do think he's going to be in the top 50. The question is for him, though, if you're the guy who's averaging 14 points a game on a team that is better than the teams that a lot of these guys were on, you can bring yourself into the conversation, certainly into the 30s, I would say.
Dunder64 next. Hey, guys, what MSU players do you think will start to see less playing time as the Big Ten games get rolling, besides Rip Hamilton 2.0?
So that's Carson Cooper, I'm guessing. And Cooper came in the other day and played well, 13 points, 6 rebounds. Other guys, weren't playing as well. Kohler was sick, which didn't help. Again, shouldn't have been on the bench. If you're sick, don't spread the germs. I don't really understand that, especially if you're playing Western Michigan. But I don't think it changes that much. And Izzo's been asked this a lot, and there are years where it would make sense. Like, okay, you're platooning Cassius Winston and Tum Tum Nairn. Maybe a little more Cassius, a little less Tum Tum, right? This is not one of those years. Like go through the lineup. Right, Jackson Kohler is their best rebounder. Like most games, he really sets the tone for that. Zapala's not playing a ton of minutes as it is, but has been really effective. Akins is their leading scorer and is going to play a lot, and he's one of their best defenders. He's been in a lot of Holloman's hitting shots. He's a veteran. His role is not too big. Chase Richardson will continue to play more minutes, I think, and that's the one guy. And Booker will have games where they can't take him out here and there because he's that effective. And so that will affect within that game, I think. And a lot of it will be matchup dependent in that sense. But I don't think you'll see a lot of it change a ton from where it is right now. And it's been pretty effective. And I think we saw that in the game against North Carolina. They wound up winning where they didn't have Jace Richardson. But they just came out and you saw a purpose to the way they played. And they have a lot of other guys that can do that. There's one other guy, Jeremy Fears Jr., the way he played in that Florida Atlantic game, which I thought was his best game at Michigan State. He's the guy that, if he becomes the guy that just makes everything go and can do that consistently, maybe his minutes have to get to a point where it's a little more.
Suburban Spartan Dad, as we head into conference hoop season, who wins the Big Ten? Give your 3 most likely teams.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Illinois' talent. They're very young, and young teams tend to, they lost that game at Northwestern, who's solid. Northwestern's 10-3. They're top 50 KenPom team. That's not like they're that's not a bad road loss in a sense. But I just feel like Illinois is going to have some of those. I love Illinois' talent overall. Oregon's looked pretty good. I mean, you have right now. What do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Big Ten teams that are KenPom top 30. That's pretty damn good. That's a tough league. Ohio State being the eighth of that at 28th. Michigan State is at 20th right now. Michigan, UCLA. I really it's hard to know because I do think there's something to sweat equity and teams that have been together for a while and all that stuff. And the other thing I haven't looked at is some of these teams. Everybody plays everybody once now, and then a couple teams twice. But so where do you play that team once? Where do you get Michigan State? Do you get them at Breslin? Do you get them at home? Where do you get? And so hopefully there are enough good teams that stuff kind of evens out, and that's my hope for this year. I love Illinois' talent. I don't think Purdue will be there this year. I don't think Ohio State will be consistent enough to do it. And Maryland, Maryland's had some games where I thought they will be part of that, and they're top 20 KenPom right now. But I don't trust them. I would think, Michigan, UCLA, Michigan State, Oregon, Illinois, those 5 teams would be my picks for the 5 that are in the conversation in the final 2 weeks of the Big Ten season.
David Jackson next. Why am I sweating bullets over the Ohio State basketball game after watching what the Buckeyes did to Kentucky? Talk me down from the ledge, please. I'm desperately awaiting your preview column on the game.
I picked Ohio State to win. Not because I think Ohio State's better, and the Schottenstein Center is not always the toughest place to play. It'll be interesting. The students shooting their way. Schottenstein, whatever it is.
The name for a stadium.
Value City Arena, the Schottenstein Center, whatever the whole package there is, but offensively they're really good, and they shoot the ball pretty well. They defend the 3-point line well, and they're home. And Michigan State hasn't played Michigan State could win this game. I think it's a 50-50 game most likely. And I think there's some things that give Michigan State an advantage. But, no, this is very much a losable game. It's a game KenPom picks them losing. It won't be a bad loss if they lose it. I wouldn't be surprised if whichever team wins the Big Ten loses at Ohio State. And I think Ohio State will be an NCAA tournament team as long as they stay healthy. They have one guy who's left the team. They have one guy came back from injury. Like, as long as things don't like go crazy like they sometimes do at Ohio State, I think they'll be at worst like an 8-seed NCAA tournament team that's a little dangerous, and offensively they're pretty scary.
The bottom line is I could see that game going one way or the other.
David Jackson, I'm giving Kohler a pass regarding his Western Michigan performance, as I learned he was sick as a dog and probably should have sat the game out. But he and his fiddler need to either start making three-pointers or stop shooting them. What does it take for Izzo to take away their green light for threes? And is it a good thing to ever take away a green light for a player, though?
No.
Is that good for their psyche?
It is not good for their confidence.
Hey, stop shooting threes.
I mean, think about this. Cohen Carr has now hit threes in 2 straight games. You want more threes from Cohen Carr. And if he airballs a few threes because he has more of a green light to take them and more confidence, that's okay. Because the eventual player you want from Cohen Carr, for example, is a guy who's at least taking open threes, walking into corner threes in transition, whatever it is. I mean, he's not.
And what are you seeing in practice? That's what I would like to know. Because the guy's got to shoot it in the game. If he's shooting great in practice, why not? I mean, you have to have a green light.
And Fiddler's a guy who's shot well enough in his career. Izzo wants him taking more threes. He passes up threes too often. Now he gets to the line pretty well. And Kohler, I still think that's going to be there. Now Kohler, and I know he was sick in the last game, really struggled with like bunnies and other things like that. Surprisingly so. Like I think I think at some point he gets past it. And I still stand by this. I think before his career is out at Michigan State, he will be a upper 30s 3-point shooter, and that will be a big part of his weaponry or whatever. You don't want to take that away, because if you're hoping Michigan State can win something and evolve into something, you want them to keep adding elements. You want consistency out of Xavier Booker, right? All of a sudden you want open threes to go down for Cohen Carr. If Jackson Kohler becomes somebody who hits threes, like right now he doesn't hit threes, but he doesn't take that many. If he's taking 2 threes a game and all of a sudden he starts hitting them, and that changes the way he's got to be guarded and who MSU is, and so you want that. You don't want to. It's not like these guys are coming down. If Kohler's coming down and like jacking up like 4 or 5 threes a game, it'd be like, all right, what's going on here?
There's shots that you can see, like Booker and some of his threes that rocket off the backboard. It's like, okay, maybe you shouldn't take 3 more threes, but like you mentioned Fiddler, like some of these guys are passing up shots where I'm like, I want you guys to shoot. Even if you missing these, you got to shoot it for your psyche, right? You can't take away any green light. You can't do it.
Especially if you're a capable shooter.
Yeah. David Jackson, why has targeting been removed from the rule book if an SEC team is the offender? Seriously, how much did the game situation targeting would have literally ended the game? Giving ASU a chip shot for the win. Did it affect the call? Could ABC, ESPN, Disney, and Sankey been a factor? And from the professor and DMB, apparently. How do you fix targeting and how it's called?
I think targeting should be a little more, like I think there should be different severities to it. Now, in this case, if it had just been a 15-yard penalty, it would have mattered a ton for the field goal potential, right? And I know they don't have a great kicker, but it still would have mattered. And you almost need something in between. To me, targeting, where you're kicking a guy out for the rest of the game and maybe the next game, depending on when it happens, or the first half of the next game, whatever it is. Refs hide behind this all the time. It's not that hard to judge intent. When a guy launches himself, we can see it. Like people, we didn't know what he was thinking. Well, if you get that wrong, we'll cut you some slack. When you launch yourself at somebody head first, we all know that should be out of the game. If it happens because the other guy moves at the last second, it's happening so quickly. If your helmets happen to hit, but you're leading with the shoulder, if you can tell the intent wasn't there, and you want some of that out of the game too with defenseless receivers and all that stuff, then 15-yard penalty. Right there, though, I don't know how they missed it.
But you have to admit it's the situation, though. Texas blowing that lead. Texas winning that game means more money for people. Matthew McConaughey's probably paying the refs over like looking at the review.
I mean, I'm not saying the
piece.
situation they didn't want the game decided on that, but I don't think they're thinking about Matthew McConaughey and the SEC at the moment.
Man? He's sitting on the sidelines in a leather jacket.
That's true. I'd be looking all the time. Yeah. All right.
Holding babies that aren't yours.
Oh my God, it'd be amazing. But I don't know that the because in other words, that game got decided because they didn't make the call too, and not great.
Thomas, will we ever see any acknowledgement from ESPN about their pundits' god-awful playoff takes? Or will we just see Bama and Mississippi get blown out even worse than this year's game for the foreseeable future because of their influence?
Well, I think it helped that Bama lost to Michigan after losing to Oklahoma, and people are sort of like, okay, you got
beat up by Michigan,
and you got to show. And I understand a lot of guys opt out or you don't care as much. If you feel like you've been shunned, if you've been screwed, you better show up for that secondary bowl game, because when you don't, you got no argument.
Didn't they? I mean, Alabama didn't sit anybody.
Right. Yeah. And
so they did try. They tried to show up. That's what's even worse.
You have a flanker playing quarterback. I'm sick of these teams who don't have. I mean, this is the old argument with not Devin Gardner. Who was the other Michigan quarterback who was a flanker?
Tom Brady.
Fuck you. Give me some off. 1 second.
Elvis Gerbach.
Damn it. Okay, Denard Robinson. Denard Robinson, not a quarterback, right? Flanker, right? But playing quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, then don't.
Yeah, but a month and a half ago, Milroe was being compared to like Lamar Jackson.
By complete morons. I'm sorry. Lamar was always a better passer than Milroe. I mean, it's not.
Right, but I'm saying he was getting on the verge of that kind of thing, and now all of a sudden he's god awful and terrible. It just blows my mind.
Nobody's ever going to admit their pundits are god awful for their takes. I mean,
especially now when everybody's got a show and
it would be nice if people were a little more self-deprecating.
Who are they talking about though? Is it Herb Street? Because I don't watch I don't watch the pregame shows. I can't.
Yeah, and what's his nuts?
McAfee?
Paul Feinbaum. He basically admitted that he screwed that up or whatever. He's off Bama or whatever.
He's off Bama now?
This will be every year. This will be a thing with the SEC. And they'll
made his career off Alabama.
Here's the deal. If we want to get this right, and this is what I wrote over the quote tweeting Connor Stallions, require 5 road games. True road games. Twitter, by the way. If you play 5 true road games, everybody's required to be eligible for the postseason. When it gets rid of this 8 home game bullshit that Indiana played, that Michigan's played at times, Ohio State's played at times, don't do it. Don't do it if you want to have any argument. But then just with that intent, because I believe in intent and scheduling, there will be years where schedules break in certain ways, but if you every year play 5 true road games, and some years your conference, if you play 9 conference games, will take care of that for you. Some years it won't. If you play 5 true road games, more often than not, we're going to run into a lot of schedules we respect. And that's how you fix it.
DMB, what time will the MSU at Northwestern game be next week in Evanston?
So it's listed at like noon or 4:30, and what that has to do with is it's a Fox deal with the NFL. It's when their NFL playoff window is, and they won't go up against that. So that's why they don't know. And so none of that will be figured out until after this week's playoff games.
Carl Mylock, most likely from these 3 scenarios: MSU hockey national championship, men's basketball Final Four, or football makes the playoff at some point with Childs at QB. Well, it's got to be the first 2.
Yeah,
in order.
And it's got to be the first, yeah. I mean, the way they're playing, we got to ask something similar to this not that long ago. And, because hockey is such a crapshoot with the stupid single elimination in the first 2 rounds. I mean, I understand basketball is too, but it's a different sport. You have, a lot more variables within a game, more shots, more, it's not one bounce here and there. But the way the hockey team is playing, I mean, what they did at Minnesota, what they did with their backup goalie against Western Michigan, I mean, I know there's a long way to go, and shit can go wrong, and injuries can happen, and whatever. But the hockey team right now is. But men's basketball, you're not saying win a title, you're just saying Final Four, and so I don't think that. I think that's an easier bar to reach than winning the whole thing. So that's not that far behind. But right now, you'd have to say championship.
Chris K, last year, 59% of Booker's shots were threes. This year, 55% of his shots are threes. Why does he shoot so many threes, and does his play determine the ceiling for this team?
I mean, I think it can have obviously, when he plays well and he has these games where you can't take him out, like against Carolina, right, and he's really good, that makes a difference. I just think they're deep enough, and they don't rely on him enough. I don't think this is a team that has that sort of deal, like their ceiling relies on him. I think it might rely a little more on Jace Richardson, and he's been fantastic. But he still hasn't taken more than 8 shots in a game. He's the most efficient dude I've ever seen. Like, he had 4 shots, 9 points, and was plus 27, plus minus, against Western Michigan. And Cohen Carr had a great plus minus, but nobody else besides those 2 was better than plus 13.
Do you think Booker loves basketball?
I don't know.
Like loves it.
I think he likes it.
Yeah, I think he just likes it, and like it's something he has to do because he's that tall.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's that far down that he has to do it. I think he likes the sport.
Okay,
but I love the sport.
Sometimes
I don't think he's Jaden Akins in terms of like just
gym rat.
Yeah, I mean, but most guys aren't. I mean, that's not to say he doesn't love the sport, but he doesn't like. Well, and Izzo has this whole love it, like it, live it thing.
Yeah,
I don't think my guess.
I can understand some guys just don't like the love the game like that.
Yeah, I mean,
you can tell by the body language sometimes.
I would have been a professional tennis player if I truly loved it and lived it.
But if you were that tall though, like Booker,
well, I
had some talent.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been
just dunk constantly.
It would have been nice.
Dunk on everybody. Richard Kane, might the transfer rankings be more accurate than prep recruiting rankings because the transfers have played college ball and the preps have not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of the rankings are all that accurate. I just don't, because the thing you don't understand with transfers is exactly where that guy's mindset is. Like, I like up transfers more than guys who are transferring sideways or down, so to speak. I like guys who are overachieved at a mid-major and were really, really good there and now want to test it and they've won and they've, that. And so I think that should matter more than a guy who got beat out at Bama or something like that. Like, I don't, yeah, and I can see your point. I don't give a shit about any of them in this day and age. I really don't. I think they're less and less important. Now, there is a degree to that. Like Michigan State's ranking in the 50s, you can't say, well, it doesn't matter. They're the same as the team in the top 5. That's not it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're. I think there should be less and less the.
Isn't it great to not give a shit anymore?
And that's the beauty of it. You don't, right? And I'm not. I'm sorry.
Not that I live and die with rankings anyway, but
there are people I like who make their living off those subscriptions, and people are going to remain in the recruiting. So hopefully those sites still do that. But I'm not going to.
It's like the pregame shows on like the NFL, like when they go to halftime and they have those. I go, maybe it's because I'm old and I've watched so much of this. I'm like, what am I going to watch that for? I don't need to watch.
And I've just seen it too much in basketball.
Yeah.
I've just seen, like, Xavier Booker may wind up a pro. But why was he ranked in the top 5 as a player? And, Tyson Walker wound up being an unbelievable college player. And how was that not seen? Now, again, it took us a while, and he was at the right level at the beginning. He averaged like 8 points a game or 10 points a game as a freshman.
Well, some guys are overlooked,
100%.
It's going to happen.
And that's okay, too. Yeah, I don't. It
can't be 100% accurate with young guys and how they develop. It's got to be tough. Richard Kane, in the previous discussion of the best MSU 7-footers, how could you forget the legendary George Papadakis? Graham, I previously considered you well-versed in MSU hoops history. So disappointed.
So,
MSU hoops historian revoked.
Yeah, no,
how dare you?
I mean, he's not a top 50 guy. I mean, I looked at him. I'll pull up the. Let me pull up.
Graham hates Greek people.
Did not say that.
And I ride through the city's backside. I see the stars come out of the sky.
Peacock.
Yeah, the bright and hollow sky. It looks so
good. I can't. Anyway, I'm not finding what I need to right now.
Free Ubers.
But yeah, sorry.
Thanks
sorry
for that.
Yeah.
That was fun. Hard cap next. Do you think that the 2024-25 is Izzo's last year? I feel like playing in the UP was a wish of his, and he doesn't seem like the kind of guy to announce it early and get the farewell tour like Coach K. Just a vibe. If it is Dwayne Stevens the front runner for the job despite lack of success at Western?
No. I mean, Dwayne Stevens would, at this point, need to bring in the largest box of groovy donuts ever to Alan Haller's office, the president's office, the board of trustees' office. And by the way, if you want a job that maybe you're not qualified for, or you want to impress your boss or make your coworkers like you, groovy donuts is a great way to do it. After the holidays, I understand people are saying right now they don't want to have certain types of sweets. That's not going to last. By next week, that's over. People will love you if you bring in a donut, and that's not the right choice anyway. We just talked about this. That's not the right choice to cut out of your diet, right? Caesar salads, get rid of that. Not groovy donuts. You're just getting rid of joy and happiness. Groovy Donut is always a good decision. Again, groovydonuts.com. Place an order today or swing on by. They're open this Friday through Sunday and most Thursdays through Sunday. Every other Thursday through Sunday, I should say. 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Williamson and Lake Lansing Road. Bring joy and happiness to the people around you and yourself with a groovy donut. To the question, it's obviously
the Northern game had nothing to do with
It was timing, correct. It was. This was the year they could do it. I talked to Izzo about it in June, and they were hoping they could do it. It had a lot to do with when there was a football bye week, when Northern Michigan had a football bye week because they needed the Superior Dome, and so the whole thing. The other thing is, like, look at this team now, and I'm not doing the two. This is a 2-year group thing. Like, I think this team has a chance to be terrific, and they lose Jaden Akins, and they could lose Jace Richardson. They could be less next year. There is also a world, even if it's a little unlikely, where everybody but Jaden Akins just about is back next year. I mean, even Zapala has a, and I know they're bringing other guys in, and there's going to have to be some level of movement, but there is a world where just about this whole roster is back and pretty damn good, and I don't think Izzo would want to leave that, and I think he just, what else would he do?
And his health is good.
Yeah.
I mean, what is he? Energy. I think that would be the thing that would start the whole 100%. Ball rolling is his health. And
he said, he had this hip replacement surgery. He saes he feels better than he did. Said it should have done it years ago. Like, he just feels good. And
yeah, he's going to walk around and talk basketball. He might as well just do it for Michigan State.
He's not
Can't get anybody better right now.
He's not going to fish. Like Adam Nightingale, for example. Now, Adam Nightingale's, our age, and he's not anywhere near his retirement stage of life. But there's a guy who's happiest when he's got like a walleye in hand, and he's on a lake in Minnesota. Like that guy is going to do retirement well at some point in his life. Izzo would suck at retirement. He just wouldn't enjoy it, I don't think. He likes doing this.
You just have a Diet Coke walking around a mire trying to find conversations. Kurt Wisniewski, Happy New Year. Your thoughts on college outdoor hockey games? I feel baseball stadiums built before the turn of the century are the best to host.
Certainly Wrigley's cool. I mean, it's going to be 9 degrees, and that sucks.
And Graham's going to change his tune on it.
I'm not looking forward to this. I think they're good as long as they're – and this is – I'm going there to write the column to get the full experience. How much does it ruin the game itself? Like, I'm going to the hockey game tonight. We're recording this on Thursday, and over at Munn against Wisconsin. And so you play a big conference game that's on what can be not as great ice in a baseball stadium. Like, does it – I don't think it takes away from it that much. I think it's a cool thing.
So your angle is just trying to find like the worst shit possible.
No, that's
you guys hate this, right?
No, I do think this. I do think these sort of things, if they're done in moderation, it's sort of like an aircraft carrier game for basketball. If you played on an aircraft carrier every single year, it loses its coolness. You do it, once every 10 years. That's pretty sweet, right? It's and with hockey, you got to think about the venue and you got to think about the experience for people. And doing something that promotes the sport and brings more fans in. And for Michigan State, like, I know lots of people going down to Chicago for this game. Lots of people coming. Michigan State hockey right now has a team you want to show off. And maybe they don't have everybody because they got, some guys overseas right now playing. But this is a team that, if you're going to play at Wrigley and have a lot of people watch you and a lot of eyes on you, this is not a bad group to do that.
And if it's a regular season game, if it's not for something – right, like a playoff game would kind of be suspect
game,
out
but
there.
still, yeah, no, I don't.
Because we watched the Blackhawks game, the St. Louis Blues. T had it on, and we were watching a little bit. It just seemed like it was a little slower because it was raining out. It was kind of a different vibe. It was awesome to watch for me. I'm not an NHL diehard, but I can understand if there was a playoff game, the diehards being kind of pissed off possibly. But I don't know what there is to hate about it.
No, I think in a perfect world, and they're not going to do this because this was orchestrated by the Big Ten, I would have like. This is where you'd play your Western Michigan. Now, obviously, the GLI was fantastic. I'm not taking away from that. But this is where you'd play a non-conference game. It was great against another power in a non. But I don't.
But people want to see good hockey, right?
I don't. And that was a good. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
MSU Optimist, has Michigan responded to the notice of allegations? I thought the 90-day window was up. Will we ever hear more? Happy New Year and thanks for the show. I started listening in 24 and look forward to your episodes each week.
Good. Well, at least you missed the shitty years.
Yeah,
2018 to 23 jumped on. Like if you started,
we're in our prime right now.
Yeah, if you started earlier, our apologies. To my understanding, there's nothing that's been out. I'm very much waiting. Like I think it's going to be very soon. I would be very surprised if it's not in the next couple weeks. Like you do the math.
Ask Connor Stallions. You guys are friends now.
You do the math. There should be.
He made some great points.
There should be some stuff happening. Very, very.
You're the best, man.
Very, very quick.
Connor I'm off Twitter. Connor Stallions made some great points. I love 2025 already. Suburban Man of Leisure next. Did you have an NFL bet as bad as my Saquon less than 9.5 TDs this season? I did redeem myself with under 29.5 passing TDs for Cousins, however.
Yeah, the Saquon one didn't play out very well. I did have the Jets over. That was my only bad, and I had great NFL bets. We went through this a couple weeks ago where I'm winning like
You're on fire.
95% of my season win. I mean, it's going to be a big, and I feel bad that I didn't, like, Dominic got on me for not giving out all the futures that I took, but I don't usually do this well. Like, to me, if this was like every year, like next year, after this year, I will give you my futures.
When did you place the bets? Because maybe we can do a show where we do kind of like Bill Simmons does it with Cousin Sal, right? And we could maybe do that so we have it on record.
And by the way, I took maybe half of their bets too. Okay. Like, and they did really, really well. So some of that is my own, some of it is theirs, some of it is other people's.
Who cares where you get it from, as long as you're cashing?
And I was doing it it wasn't like all at the same time, but next year, you're right. We should, I just want people to understand that my track record on these things is much closer to 500 than it was this year. So
So you had a good year.
I had a good year. I didn't mean to hide it from people. That
and by the way, 500 isn't terrible as long as you're a little up on the 500.
Yeah. It's not. It's not.
No, we're happy for you. We would like to be in the know, I guess, and see if there's some things that really jumped out at you or that you liked.
Let's take a really quick break. When we come back, we got some more really good groovy donut Twitter questions. Couch in the Rue, presented by our friends at Pure Options Crafted Cannabis, and our Thursday afternoon show by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Pure Options Crafted Cannabis. I'm telling you right now, if the winter's starting to get long on you already, if you're worried about the Lions this weekend, pureoptions.com. Go to the nearest location, 3 in the Lansing area, west side of the state, a little north of here, east side of the state, and join their Pure Perks loyalty program. You can have your Pure Options experience tailored right to you. I love it. I know when their deals are. I know what the things I like, and I'm aware of what's happening. And they got some great January deals. Again, pureoptions.com, and also our Thursday afternoon show presented by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app.
Jay Riemenschneider up next. Graham, why do you hate kids? You don't want them to have cars. And God, players can't thank the creator after a game. And America, country singers can't sing about the love of their homeland. Why, Graham? Why do you hate?
I I don't hate.
Oh.
I actually I'm a country music fan.
How about this?
That I hate. I hate bad music. Like I just hate that song.
But
like
you said you like what, new country?
Well, I wouldn't say. I would like lots of new old country. I like lots of country. When I drove a truck when I was in college, my year before
Such
summer
a
before my junior year.
stereotype, dude.
So
I was driving a truck. It doesn't have to be like a song.
Summer before my junior
Did you have
year.
a dog?
I did not. Summer before my junior year, summer of 2000, back when life was simple. TSA was easier. You could
Pre 9/11.
Pre 9/11 is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Drove a truck from Midwest Neon Supply Company out of Chicago. Had an overnight run up the west side of Michigan, and all I had was a radio. And every little town has a country music station. I got in all sorts of stuff. Should have been a Cowboy by Toby Keith. I was in all that stuff. Even some of the people who
you chew tobacco
got a little wacky after 9/11. Some of the country singers who started to really play into that.
They got wacky.
Well,
they got patriotic about their country being attackct.
They got cash patriotic. It was like, hey, if I sing about soldiers, I get paid, and that's what they got. So that's what they went. It's all music related. Cars for Kids commercial. I love charities, but that is awful. That is a freaking awful song. And yeah. So
yeah. All right, Jay Riemenschneider, Jason, was it just cannabis and alcohol back in the day, or did you do the hard stuff too? Because every time I hear Junkhead by Alice in Chains, I envision that being you back in the early 2000s riding around in the Jeep with 40 grand in your pocket. Is the hard stuff like heroin or something?
Yeah, probably.
No, God, no. No, I honestly, cannabis was not. Listen, here's the thing. I was addicted to stuff. Like, I don't like chasing stuff, meaning like heroin and all those drugs. Like, I was in the pills. It was booze and pills primarily, but pills were easy in the early 2000s, really easy to get. Like easier than weed. And I wasn't cool enough to get drugs, by the way. Like you'd have to find, a guy, and like weed was kind of a harder thing for me. So I was like, fuck it. I'll just drink and do pills. So yeah, no, I'm sorry that ruined your idea of me. I don't know. Yeah. So Tyler next had Texas minus 7.5 in a winning parlay. They improbably hit overtime. It cashed in the only way possible. Tie first OT, get ball first in the second OT to score 8. Then force a turnover. Rolled it up on the Buckeyes, skill players, and all of those fuckers cash by a country mile.
It's a great way to win the bet. I had Texas minus 6.5 on a teaser, and didn't know. Like I was driving back from Leelanau, and they were up. Even when they were up 17-8, I thought, well, this isn't gonna. I didn't realize it was getting that close. It was a game I listened to on the radio and watched the highlights later, and then I found out what happened. I was like, oh my God. It
was a great third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, no,
I
wish I'd seen it live.
The Uper, shouldn't the non-playoff bowl games just be considered exhibitions? With so many players sitting out or already in the portal, it seems insane to let them count towards official records. It'd be fun to see them try out some weird formats too, like the spring games.
Well, they probably should just bring in the old records from bowl games before they counted them. Like they have box scores, right? So why not just add that up? I don't really understand.
It's a lot of time. Can you do that with AI, or
AI is
people really want to go back and do that?
Yeah, I mean
who's going to do that?
College kids, they don't write papers anymore. They just
Jim Comparoni would.
No, AI. College kids just have AI write their papers. So instead of that, they should do all this work. They should do something. Yeah,
that'd be great. Bo McJunkins, why should I feel good about revenue sharing for football when everyone is just going to be on the same level? How is that going to put us over the top? Because right now we can't even manage 6-6 and barely look more competent than 2023's disaster.
Because the point is, once you get the idea is first of all, it won't be revenue sharing will not make everything even. You're still going to have collectives. You're still going to have NIL, and that's how you manage that. And Michigan State should understand that. How you manage that will help separate you at the top. Now, the idea, though, is like the old days, when you hire smart people and you're asked to manage your roster and recruit and your coaches, then it's on you to hire good people. It's not just buying a roster because you have more money than everybody else. That's the concept. We'll see how much that actually plays out. So, the idea is you have to trust in Jonathan Smith. You have to trust in that staff, and if you don't, then it could be tricky. But this year wasn't like that will be. So you can look at 6-6 this year, and they couldn't get to 6-6, and not looking more competent. And I'm not going to argue that this was a fun year for anybody. I'm just saying I don't think it's necessarily totally relevant to what's going to happen down the road.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
Bo McJunkins, Graham, if I forgive the blue wall tattoo for the Matt Weiss story not being covered 2 years later, will you do a deep dive on the war crime that was the 2023 staff choosing to play Kim and Hauser over Sam Levitt?
Yeah, we talked about this. I just think it was bad timing. I think if Levitt had shown up in January instead of August, he may have won the job. I don't think they knew it with Noah Kim because the way the schedule was set up, they played some, lower tier teams right away, and he looked okay-ish. I just think it was harder for them to be sure that he was ready. And then, to be honest, though, in hindsight, it's easy, right? It's like this guy has the ceiling, and in the transfer portal era, you can't mess with that shit. If he's your quarterback of the future, just make him your quarterback of the now. Who cares if the other guys stick around? Oh, and by the way, this next Mark Zott. Mark Zott. Boy, you're better at pronunciations than me.
I've Zott for it. I listened. Anyway,
okay.
It's inside. Sorry, I realized I was too inside.
Anyway, I somehow did not copy and paste his next question. His question was, will there be any additions to the MSU football coaching staff to replace Demetrius Martin? And the answer is yes. I think what you're going to have when this becomes, you get this sprint in recruiting. I think a lot of times when you lose a staffer or two, you will not see it. You not see them replaced until January, until February or whatnot.
All right, Stephen Whittico, Kirby Joseph, rumored to have missed out on the Pro Bowl. Are Stafford and others to blame for referring to him as dirty? Or does he need to wear a Panama hat like Ed Reed and Dick Tracy to get the recognition he deserves? And is this just another BS recognition like the Heisman? If you leave Kirby Joseph has been left off, by the way. You leave him off, there's something to that. It's impossible. It's impossible. There's something that people that are in the voting are leaving him off for a reason because they think he's dirty. It's a fact. It's a fucking fact. Because that's ridiculous. First of all, the Pro Bowl's ridiculous. The MVP voting's ridiculous. All of it. Fuck it all. Stupid.
Fuck it all.
Fuck it all. Matt C., why does this college football playoff suck? I had high hopes, but these games are awful. The transfer portal and the NIL have destroyed the product. Matt C., come over. We're going to smoke a joint. I'm telling you. Matt C. and I are going to hang.
I would
He's
like
turning the corner.
I would like to see what we could do with the pure options with Matt C. Could we get Matt
easily?
C to, yes, yeah.
I can prove it myself because I did it. These games have been awful, but with pure options, it makes it all the better. It's impossible not to have a good time.
Yeah, no, and look, the transfer portal on NIL haven't made. They've made more parity, if anything. I mean, this is not
the NCAA. You can blame them.
If you had 2017 Alabama and Clemson, that doesn't make these more competitive. That's not. It's
Texas, Arizona State, having Matthew McConaughey pay off the refs so they didn't call targeting. I mean, it doesn't get better than this.
And it won't be like this every year. One year, what I really hope they don't do is overreact. Oh, my God, we got to do this. And that's what they like to do.
It's impossible.
And don't overreact.
Well, there's no rules. You kind of have to overreact, though.
Well, and I think
this might be the season to overreact.
I do think it's likely to get one more year of something similar to this. And it'd be good to see it for a couple of years. And if you want to, you want to meddle a little, then fine. But let's
meddle.
Yeah, okay.
Let's meddle.
Yeah.
Come on, MCV. Do you think Alabama fans will ever be able to accept that the run under Nick Saban was the exception more than the rule, or will they be delusional every season for here on out?
Well, they'll expect this from here. I mean, it's Alabama.
How can you not?
It's Bear Bryant. It's Alabama. It's Saban.
Right.
And they had a run of unlike anything else in modern college football. This is what they care about too. That's the other thing. I mean, they got nothing else down there. They got nothing. I mean, they got nothing. And so, why? This is what they want, and this is what you have to deliver if you're going to be the coach. And it's hard. It's not guaranteed. That's for sure.
MCV, if Kalen DeBoer gets an invitation from Nick Saban to go fishing this offseason, should he accept?
What? Because he's going to get pushed in or something? No, Saban doesn't.
It's not like Couch. He's not going to shove someone down a flight of stairs.
That's
what you're getting at.
That didn't happen. It did not happen, for the record.
That would be great, though, if that was Nick Saban. Like he just offed DeBoer, and that was like a big off-season thing. Do you think ESPN would keep him? He killed a guy.
Saban's enticing, and I would listen to Saban even if he killed a guy.
Would you bring Nick Saban back? No,
if he killed a guy.
That's July topic.
Sorry. Yeah, we're getting out of it. Yeah.
MCV, does MSU's 2013-15 run happen if the transfer portal and NIL were around then?
No. I mean, I guess it would depend on when transfer portal and NIL started, right? If the transfer portal and NIL came around in 2009 and there was some time to adjust, I just feel like the early the beginning of D'Antonio dealing with the transfer portal and NIL would not have gone all that well for him. Now, if the program was rolling and a lot of those guys knew they could win and they were able to, it would have depended on the phase they were in, whether they could adjust. But yeah, D'Antonio was not built for this.
Some dude. So the players in the college sports pay-to-play era have all the power. I do think it's more or less universally agreed that the best model is some sort of employee and collective bargaining arrangement between the schools and the athletes. Tell me how this could come to be. When the players have too much power in a pro sport, the owners can lock them out, basically taking their money away and forcing change to a settlement that they can both live with. What could force the universities to unite like this, or could something else happen?
I think ultimately we're going to go down the road where it's collective bargaining and it's athletes and employees. And I think the real key to that happening, though, is you need the athletes not to have everything going for them, too. The colleges right now have no leverage. There's just too much. Like, it's catastrophic if they have a year without football. They can't pay for everything else. Like, they don't have that ability and that leverage. What they need to happen, though, is something where college athletes say, we don't love this. We don't love that you can have 26-year-olds and 27-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds. It's harder for more of where all of a sudden it's not perfect for them. And they want to come, and all of a sudden and so there's something that they have a reason, because right now it's a perfect world for them. They're getting paid like nothing else in some ways. And I don't say it's a perfect world because there are fewer opportunities out of high school for these guys, but it's a pretty good deal. They can leave whenever they want. They can get paid whenever they want. Now, do they trust? Are they going to get? Are they going to get paid? Some of these places, it's outside collectives aren't real reliable. But once it comes in house, this is as good as it gets. But at some point, there will be something that they don't like, and that's what's going to take, I think, for them to become down the road of negotiating and potentially employees.
Fart Soup next. Have you ever put such a mystique on a place, and when you finally went to it, it was a major letdown? Mine has to be Hooters in South Lansing. We begged our parents to let us go. Instead, they took us to a little boner killer.
Yeah, sitting there with mom at Hooters, that's not.
I don't know.
So it was a mystique. Like, so you were 16, Fart Soup? You're like, how old are you when you did this? Like,
yeah.
What's the earliest you went to Hooters?
I didn't go until I was 8. I think it was like 18, 19 or something like that, because there was one next to Channel 10.
Right.
Because there was one in Flint that I went to when we watched the Super Bowl because we were underage and we heard we could drink there. So we drove all the way to Flint, that Hooters. But it didn't do, I don't know, I was going to strip clubs when I was like in high school. So Hooters was nothing to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, okay, whatever. Some chicks in tight orange shorts.
So the question is, has there ever been a place you put such mystique in and when you finally went, it was a major...
Hawaii Spa.
Yeah. Not as good as you were hoping.
Well, it was mystique because you drove by it. I drove to Illinois and I did drive by it. I was like, I should have taken a picture. Good old Hawaii Spa, still kicking in 2025.
We should do a live show from Hawaii Spa.
I would do that.
Yes,
I would do that.
I would do a live show from Hawaii Spa.
The smell would be amazing.
We'd have to explain it to them, which I think would go. I don't even know what what.
No, we wouldn't have to explain anything.
No,
couch in the room. Come on in. Big fans. We have a gift for you. Fart Soup, how long do you think Izzo has been waiting to call Fred Human a jerk? He unloaded that so quick in a presser last week that it seemed years in the making.
I mean, I felt all of Fred Human. I think I was there for that. I don't think, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Fred Human is, Fred's Fred. Like, Fred gets on his cell phone during press conferences and has conversations. It's really annoying. Fred, Izzo's still talking in his post game, and Fred's over there talking to his cameraman like 3 feet away loudly, and it's Fred. There are certain social skills, and I love Fred, but there's certain social skills that he lacks. There's no question about it.
I love these guys, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's part. It's part of what makes the beat. It's part of what makes it fun. It keeps it interesting. There are times it's like, well, that's
you guys are weirdos. All of you.
Fred. Yeah, we all have our own little things. I mean,
absolutely.
The fact that certain things happen, Solari gets driven nuts and goes berserk. I mean, these are all stories worth telling. Presented by Midtown Brewing Company. I felt all of Fred Human.
Who would not want to be around these guys? Fart Soup, Jason, a riddle. If Couch says he's going to be somewhere and he's currently 3 miles away from the location and travels at an average speed of 35 miles per hour, what time would he need to leave to arrive at 1 p.m.? Trick question. That MF won't show up until 2:30. I was really happy that Mrs. and Mr. and Mrs. Fart Soup did show up today and get to see what I get to deal with of Couch being.
And they brought us groovy donuts,
late.
which was incredible.
It was unbelievable.
It was yeah. If you can have somebody bring you groovy donuts, yeah.
I was like, Graham, can I take one of those to tea? Oh yeah. Oh, he just got him out of his armpit. I'm like, you want more than one? Huh?
That's not how
I
it
need
went
to
down.
bring them for us. You ass.
That's not how it went down.
Straight out of his armpit. Original Dark Mantonio. I've been working in Lansing since the summer. I've never, ever seen a worker on the highway working. Graham, you know people. Can you please get some answers on when these damn barrels will be gone and all lanes permanently open? Well,
Yeah.
they're never going to be permanently open. I mean, there's going to be construction for the rest of our lives. Like somewhere.
And it's amazing. I already see things like I thought certain areas were part of the construction. And I'm like, this is old or cracked. Like what? I don't really know everything.
Are you critiquing the construction?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm in critiquing it. Yeah.
You should tweet that out. Original. Have you seen Al Martin on the Untuck It commercial? He's moving on up.
I have not. I mean, I know he wants to be an actor.
Untuck
He's
It,
mostly
though.
an actor these days.
Why doesn't he do the muskox?
Well, because
Al Martin's good. No, penis. I'm saying he could. Brad Hoos could hire Al Martin to do a little.
Yeah, but
the commercial.
But Al looks good.
That's what I'm saying. You could have Al and then next to you and like, look, it makes you look good. The couch can actually look presentable.
Okay,
because Al Martin's a good looking dude, right?
That's fair.
That's a good actor. Yeah. Anyway, Original Dark Mantonio, you're trying to quit Twitter and X, so are you ever going over to Truth Social, Graham?
I don't think the MSU fan community is real.
What's
boisterous
Truth
over this.
Social? Is that
that's Trump?
Is that the Trump
yeah,
thing?
Yeah,
okay,
it's the Trump
right.
thing. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, the odds that I would be over there.
I'd go over to see that.
Three quick takes. That's happening.
The comments, man. Hans Jurgen. After this latest round of transfer portal signings, is MSU football better or worse?
I mean, I think they're a little better. It's hard to know. You never know in the transfer portal stuff. And again, the rankings, say they're a little bit better. I think they added 2 receivers that look like they could be upgrades. But have I seen those guys play at the Big Ten level? Have I see, I didn't know Kenneth Walker from Jason Nick, until Kenneth Walker showed up, right? So like all that stuff is, I
get mistaken for each other often.
You have to think though. You have to think that a second year when they've had time to do this, and it's not a fire drill. And I thought some of their guys was a pretty good portal class last year in some ways, but that they're going to be better at this, and they're going to be better at retaining guys. You see it with Nick Marsh and Aiden Childs, and just sort of the spending the NIL money there. And I have to think they're going to be better. If they're not, that's a problem, actually, frankly.
Hans Jurgen, has Jeremy Fears' shooter been caught?
No, and
he's still at large?
I don't think he ever will be.
Why? Is he dead?
No.
The shooter's dead?
No.
Well, why?
I can't answer that.
What? Do you know where the shooter is?
No, but I shouldn't have said anything. Yeah.
All right. Hans, I've been thinking of Mark Hollis lately. His last press conference when he resigned was heartbreaking. He fell on his sword. Not sure there is anything he could have done to prevent the tragedy. Do you? Wait, is this Hans? Are you sure you got the right?
Yeah, which tragedy?
This wasn't the Zott guy?
I like Mark Hollis personally a lot, and I've had great conversations with him, and think he was a phenomenal AD at certain things in terms of building the brand for MSU football and basketball and putting them on big stages. But fall on the sword. I mean, they needed.
He did not.
Yeah, they needed a different voice in that moment, and he left.
Corley King and Vance fell on that sword, but we don't have to get into that.
Yeah, I would say not. But mostly, yeah. I mean, they left Izzo to be the spokesman for the university. Who does that? I'm sorry.
Hans, should I throw out all the holiday leftover sweets or die fat and happy? Just die fat and happy.
Just get fresh groovy donuts and then throw out the others.
I mean, you look at some of the people that are in their 70s and they're just morbidly obese, and they're like, they didn't care. Why would you care? It's all just the luck of the draw. Look at Couch. He gained 11 lbs. And
I had heartburn like I've never seen last night. I came down.
This is a guy that's on the treadmill all the time.
Yeah, it's not good.
Jake Hawkins. Will we ever see Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record ever broken? So many running backs have came so close and haven't broken it.
I didn't think so at this stage, just because there are so few featured running backs and so few guys who run the way they used to use these guys, even the top guys. But when you see Saquon do it this year, it leads me to believe at some point it'll happen. Like some point down the road, there will be something.
But how will it happen, though? Because if teams are good, right, if you're on a good team, you're a running back on a good team, they're going to sit you because you don't want to They don't want you to get injured. So would you have to have bloated stats in the first 7 games and then kind of have it even out at the end, right? Because I just don't think you're going to get the bloated stats at the end because guys are going to get sit.
Yeah, that's it.
I would say no. I think if Saquon can't do it this year,
it would take something like Saquon being on the Lions, where you wind up on a team that has to play all the way
like
through.
Gibbs.
Yeah, right.
All right, Jake Hawkins. Even though the Lions got revenge against the 49ers, did Dan Campbell make the right call not resting the starters for that game? What would you guys have done for that game? Well, like the Saquon question, I would have asked the player. I mean, I just don't think with the mentality. I mean, thankfully we got out of it pretty scot-free with no injuries, right? So
I think the 49ers added a component to it because I think these guys are a little bit of a nemesis too. And I think so part of this team's story and part of what these guys wanted, I think, at least guys who were around last year and part of the franchise, was to sort of exercise that demon that's the 49ers, right? I think that was something they got to do. And I think that's just, it would have been great if the game meant something, but I think it did mean something. And I think the other thing is when you prep all week, not knowing if a game is going to mean something, it's tough. Like if they went into Monday knowing the game would have nothing on the line and you practice with your backups and you put together a game plan, that's an easier thing to do. I think it's a harder thing to do on a 53-man roster if you don't know till Sunday.
Well, that's what Campbell said. He's like, we don't have that many guys to be going up, and who do you ask? You ask certain guys, and guys are going to get offended. Like, all right, we're all going to just play. That's the mentality, and that's the thing with this team. Like Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, 7 guys made the Pro Bowl. Should have been 8 guys with Kirby Joseph. I trust Brad Holmes. I trust Dan Campbell. Whatever they decide, go for it. This is the mentality of the franchise.
And at this point, you gotta. I mean, they didn't get anybody hurt, but at this point, they were owed some injury luck for fuck's sake.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Why even have a championship committee?
Playoff committee or whatever. But ideally, this would just like a selection committee.
Well, as long as they're all watching the game in the same room, I trust what they do.
I don't.
As long as they sit with 1-2 TVs, you know.
Yeah. Upper
Deck Jerk Guy. Have you ever been accused of being a Furzicona known by a German?
Okay, what does this mean? I'm always worried this could be porn.
Someone that loves Germany. Hoff. Furzicona.
I am a passenger.
That's a German for. I mean, fucking everybody masturbates. It's German for fart cannon.
Have you?
I know.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Who will end the year as the Spartans' most valuable player?
It's a good question. Who you think is the Spartans' most valuable player, or who gets named the Spartans' most valuable player?
You know the question.
Well, because we have to vote on it, and my guess is like Jaden Akins will win it, but I don't know that he'll be it by the end. I think the most valuable player, you could argue, will wind up being Jace Richardson, will wind up being Jeremy Fears, could wind up being Jackson Kohler if he averages 9 rebounds a game in Big Ten play. Like there's a lot of things you could. And I don't.
But
know
take
that
those guys away. Take Jace Richardson away. I don't like this team, so I think he's the MVP. You take Jaden Akins off, I go all right. Well, I understand. I'm just saying. I'm just saying what a most valuable player means to me. Lastly, from the Jerk Guy, what's something you like to eat that most people wouldn't eat?
I mean, sometimes if I'm really hungry and need to move quickly, I will eat cold soup out of the can.
What do you mean move quickly?
If I need to get
You're
somewhere.
On the run?
Like I'm already 40 minutes late for a show I said was going to start 20 minutes ago, and I need to have some lunch real quick.
You're trying to find the fear shooter? So you're on the run?
I'm at that point, it's, What about you? You got anything?
I like cottage cheese with Fritos.
That sounds great.
I think people like it. So, I don't know. I don't eat anything crazy.
We appreciate all of you. Thanks for producing our show, as always. We appreciate Groovy Donuts. Again, groovydonuts.com. This weekend open Friday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Back open Thursday through Sunday next week, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Just bring joy and happiness in your life and make the people around you love you. That's what Groovy Donuts is for. We appreciate Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Bet the games this weekend. Have some fun. Do it responsibly. Appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. And a great place for a date this weekend to watch some games. Whatever it may be, any occasion. You'll love the menu. You'll love the drink selection. And, of course, Pure Options. If you're going to watch the Lions game, go to Pure Options first. Make sure you're in good shape. We'll be back Monday. We'll talk about the Michigan State game. We'll talk about the hockey game. We'll talk about the Lions. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.